I don't know how many times people have said to me, you've been at this for such a long time and you're telling me it's taking you this long to work out your problem. Yes, it has. I could have easily done all of this in silence, in privacy, without uploading anything about this. I could have just kept my mouth shut. And nobody would know about my internal struggles, about the project that I have going. I could have easily done that. But instead what I've done is I've publicly, very candidly made thousands of videos about something that may seem simple to somebody, and in retrospect, very frustratingly too long this is taken. So for the people that are asking me, really it's taking you this long to work out hip flexes? Yes, it has, man. I got a comment from somebody that's always in the comments, and we've had amazing chats in the past. So he's not trolling or anything like that. I know this guy quite well, not personally, but through the comments. He left me a message in yesterday's video, which I'm going to pop up on the screen now. I'm going to read it to you guys, and I want to discuss this. And it basically summarizes everything that I wanted to say about this and how this makes me feel and how I process this. So Tatachi says, Tatachi5971, he goes, I don't want to break the mood, but sometimes you feel that you found the solution to a problem and you're all happy, and a few days, weeks, months later it comes back. I did live that myself, and you guys know that I've lived that myself as well. I have tried so many things over this time span. You guys know I'm not coming in here and just freaking wasting my time. I'm actually getting after it. And I've tried so many things, and so many things work for a little bit. They work for a little bit. Even freaking calf raises somehow. I don't know how, but they've given me relief from the freaking hip flexor trouble. I don't know how it works. I don't understand the biomechanics behind that, but that has helped. Glute stuff. So like hip extensions, 45 hypers, GHD back extensions, split stance squats, Bulgarian split squats, walking lunges, reverse lunges, sumo deadlifts, wide stance squats, box squats, so many. I can go on and on and on. Now, and a lot of these I've actually gone in circles multiple times. I've had multiple bites at some of these, and they've each time given me relief, and then seemingly like a week or two later it goes away. And a lot of people are like, your problem, Livan, is you don't stay with things long enough. And it's like, how can I stay with something that is hurting me? How can I stay and be like, no, for the sake of this experiment, I'm going to run this for 3 months. I would die. I can't drive myself to the hospital for a shift because it's that much pain. I have to change something, man. And I know a lot of times in these videos, I speak a lot, but it's very hard to convey every little thing that I have. And this is a snippet of my mind, 5, 10, 20 minute snippet of my mind over a 24-hour cycle. It's not the entire representation. So Tatachi goes on and he goes, keep that in mind, because if it comes back one day, you will feel so disarmed and lost. It can be awful to your mindset, but actually it does not really matter, as pain is connected to progression, as Owen from Seeker Strength and some competitors as well were saying. Sometimes you feel bad, sometimes you feel good. It's life. Maybe it will be the same pain, maybe it will be another place. So live in the moment the best you can, just in case. It's the same idea that you were telling us in your vids about death and accidents. But I hope your pain-free state will remain for a long time. So this comment by Tatachi basically triggered me to think about all of this stuff. The squat everyday journey, the struggles, the pains. And he basically summarizes it really well, that it's just part of progression. And even if you're Owen squatting almost 300 kilos, or you're me struggling to squat 200 kilos in a consistent basis, progression costs you, and growing is actually painful. Look at my newborn. He just had a bunch of needles. in a month or so, he's going to start teething. And then some other pain, and some other pain, and some other pain, and some other pain. Your freaking bones start hurting. Your gut is developing. You're getting colic. You're getting all these different things, and it's like non-stop. So in an essence, to say that you're in pain, you're basically saying that you are progressing. Because without pain, you can't progress. So it seems. Now, for a child, that makes sense. But does it make sense for an adult who's trying to squat 3 times body weight? I think so. Because there's nothing like pain to make you pay attention and to make you change something. There's nothing like it. There's absolutely nothing like it. So like if I didn't get this hip pain, say my body was unable to reproduce the idea of pain or produce pain, I would just keep on going and going and going and going until arthritis is freaking bone on bone and I snap my shit up completely, irreversibly. So in an essence, we should be thankful that we have pain, because pain is the ultimate indicator that you got to work the shit out. Otherwise, you can forget about it. Otherwise, you can forget about it. It's not gonna happen for you. So pain is like the ultimate kick up the ass. Okay, so you've been squatting for 1 trillion years. It doesn't really matter how long you've been squatting. Something is upset. You got to work it out. Sure, you can quit. You can quit. And a lot of you guys have said, why don't you just quit squatting every day? Man, I have been there. I've been there. I've squatted once a week, once a fortnight. I've done this in the past. But for the longest time, I would come in and have a kick-ass session. And the following 2 or 3 days, I would struggle to sit in the car, struggle to sit on the toilet. Amongst the DOMs that would debilitate me, there's also that pain. And I just thought back then, when I had no knowledge about nothing, I used to think, oh yeah, well, that's just DOMs. No, there's a difference. And it's taken me a long time. You guys need to understand is that I'm not even Abujayev's son. I didn't grow up in a household that knows everything about anything. This is very much a journey of my progression, my understanding, my learning. So I'm basically developing, not physically, but also mentally, intellectually in front of you guys. So when I hear other people who are much more advanced than me, say like Owen from Seeker Strength, who's just about to squat 300. So I saw him hit 290 the other day, and he's hitting 5x5 with 240 regularly. I think to myself, man, and I know he's had trouble, and he talks about his troubles. And I'm like, okay, so it doesn't really matter what stage you're at, there's always a fire to put out. Now for me, if I'll be honest with you, I really, really hope that I have a different problem down the track. Because I'll be honest with you, I'm sick and tired of hip pain. I'm sick and tired of it. It's almost like my browser, the freaking Google browser that I go on, like I typed in hip something 1 trillion times. It would be nice to like type in something else for once. Even if I progress past the 200 and the 212s and whatever, I'm in the 220s, maybe something else starts hurting. It's almost like intellectually, I want to read about something else. Okay, I'm done with hip pain. So I hope that I found a solution for this. And, I don't hope for more pain in the future. But it's almost like, okay, progression, okay, if we just assume that something's going to happen, I just hope it's not the hip pain, because if you're constantly battling the same old thing, you have to ask yourself, are you actually addressing the problem? And it's very, very complex. A lot of people would sit there and be like criticizing me like crazy, like this guy needs to stop squatting every day. That's the easiest thing to say to somebody. You have pain? No worries, just do rice. Do rice. Rice. Rest, compression, elevate, ice. Rest, ice, compression, elevate. This is what the physios back in the day used to say, and some doctors still say that. It's so freaking outdated. Icing shit, it's not going to bring circulation in. Sure, in immediate, it works, but you can't be icing something that's like 3 months old injury. You can't be doing that. So this idea that rest makes everything go away, that is so bad to think that every problem can be sorted out by resting. It's not like that. Not in my experience. And some of you guys are like, but you're squatting every day. I've trained for a decade. 4 years, not even 4 years, has been squat every day. I've got experience in other states. It's not just that. So I know what, resting is going to make you forget about it a little bit. All the inflammation is going to get down. But the biomechanical problem which caused you to have this problem is still there. It's just in hiding. So instead of just resting this shit away, letting the inflammation forget about it, address it. What is the causation of this problem? Don't just take an anti-inflammatory. Ice it. Take some Nurofen. Forget about it. I don't like that. I like treating the cause. What is the cause? Some problems are very complex, like my hip pain has freaking drove me really bonkers over the years. I've tried every single stuff. Like I've done a full circle around all the muscles in the body a million times. But when you hear about other people also having a similar experience with getting stronger, it makes you kind of feel like you are not missing out, like you are not an odd person who just can't get away from pain. Even somebody at a super elite level has trouble. So if you change that mentality into that and just be like, okay, live in the moment, like Tatachi says, live in the moment. There's likely going to be more trouble down the road. Don't get too high. Accept that this is actually the fight. The fight is this. Not only you need to do the work, but you need to deal with the fires that get, the spot fires that pop up here and there as you are trying to progress this civilization of yours. There's going to be revolts at the hip, at the knee. You're going to have to send some forces over there to quell the rebellion. You're going to have to work out how to do it. You can't just brute force it. Sometimes you have to stretch. Sometimes you have to strengthen. Sometimes you have to do something else to it. Sometimes you have to change the core politics of your government, of the Senate, right? So, great comment. Sparked all these ideas and kind of made me feel comfortable dealing with this. And sure, it's taken me a long ass time and I don't want to jinx it, but I hope I've sorted it now. And now I can strengthen this part of my civilization, move forward, advance, progress until we fight the next boss, until we fight the next problem, and then we're going to deal with it then. But getting over one problem, I think, strengthens you mentally, prepares you. Because I think when we all first set out, you know, when the barbell was empty, you first walked in the gym, first started doing this, we were all kind of like hopeful that we were gifted. At least that's kind of in my mind. You know, I was kind of hopeful that I would be, you know, better than average, that I would kind of, I don't know, you always hope for the best, right? At least that's me. I was hoping that I'll just progress really quickly. You know, I believe in my work ethic. I believe in all this stuff, but then you hit a roadblock and you're like, it's not going to last that long. And you're like, shit, this is lasting quite a while. And then, but you never give up. And then it gets to a point where not only are you doubting yourself, but other people are doubting yourself. And because this is like a public endeavor for me, you see a lot of negativity, man. A lot of people are like, you know, throwing shade at you, like, which is all well and good. Like, I'm a formed individual. I'm not a child anymore. So I'm like, you know, I'm resistant to a lot of the shit, so I don't take it to heart. But in your worst moments, when you're doubting yourself and you're kicking yourself mentally, and then you kind of like go to the messages, you go into your YouTube profile, and then you see more negativity, you're susceptible then. You are weak then. And then it can start to kind of hurt a little bit when people kind of lay into you a little bit. It's tough. It's not easy. And this is why I think we all respect people when we see somebody squat 300 or whatever, 200 or whatever. You're like, you know that brother's been through some shit. You know he's put up many fires. He's put out many fires to get to this spot. He wasn't a happy-go-lucky type of thing. And even though a lot of these people that are, you know, our idols and whatever, we don't really know the internal dialogue that they've had, the internal troubles, the troubles at home that they've had with their bodies, with this progression. You will find some people who will tell you how it is and say, yeah, you know, I'm in pain. I've had pain in my back, in my knee, in my hip, in my ankle. I'm dealing with it. It's a constant battle. I don't understand what's going on 100%, but I'm working through it and I'm fighting. And I'll say something else that somebody else mentioned. I forget now the comment. But the fella basically said, optimizing strength, optimizing for your strength increase is not exactly optimizing your health, right? So it's almost like two different algorithms. What you need to do to get stronger and what you need to do to stay healthier or keep healthier or get healthier, they might not necessarily be together. So the things that you need to do for strength is probably not the thing you need to do for health. And I think that's something that I've struggled over the years, because I always thought a stronger person, like Mark Rippetoe used to say back in the day, a stronger person is harder to kill. You're more resilient, okay? Number one, to freaking gravity, but also you have more useful tissue about you. And because you've gone through the training, you're probably more resilient to disease as well, because your body's constantly dealing with acidic states. You're constantly buffering lactic acid, substrates, metabolic waste. You're constantly fighting. It's not a dormant system. You're very much active. And I always felt like that state will be more resilient for disease. And to a certain degree, yes, it is. But when you get to a certain level where your joints start freaking screaming every single day, when you start putting on a whole bunch of freaking weight to get the next strength, advancement, that's when you start to go, man, this is not ideal for the health department. The strength department is loving it. All the funding is going there. But the health department is going, wait a minute, guys. We're self-destructing here. Now, obviously, there's people in the community, fitness community, who have completely pissed off. They've completely fired everyone in the health department, and they put all the funding into the strength department. They've taken, chemicals on board. They're doing all sorts of things. They completely fired everyone. They don't even listen to the health department anymore. And some of these guys are dying in the damn 30s, 20s. So there's definitely optimization problems there. But on a natural level, even like the most natural person, like someone like me, I don't take pills, I don't take powders, I don't do anything. Oh, the protein is not optimal. Even somebody like me that pays close attention to the health department, even myself, like the act of squatting every day, the act of putting all this weight on my back, you need to be an idiot not to understand that something could go wrong really, really quickly doing this stuff. And then all of a sudden, bones break, discs break, necks break, all sorts of things break. So it's almost like every single day you come in here, you're taking a risk. You're taking a bloody risk, whether you like it or not. The health department ain't going to be happy with that. But you're taking a risk. So amongst all of this stuff that we think about progression, there's the health aspect of it. And I ask myself, man, how many of these guys that are walking around who hit very impressive numbers, like how many of them are actually just pain-free? How many of them are just like, I feel excellent? Some of these guys that we also look up to have sleep apnea because they're so big. Some of these guys don't talk about that. So like the immature lifter would look at somebody that squats 350 and like, man, my idol. But if you saw that guy sleeping at night with a freaking BiPAP machine, the CPAP machine, and you saw somebody, if you were the fly on the wall while he was in the GP clinic talking to his doctor, and the doctor saying, mate, your blood pressure is through the roof, your liver function test is going to shit, like you got to slow down, otherwise it's not going to be good for you. Maybe then you try to see the full picture of what's going on. But that's not what people portray usually. People just give you the happy stories. And so then you think everything is happy-go-lucky, right? Because not everyone's telling you the exact story. But the full story is going to, it's going to really diminish that feat of strength. It's kind of like meeting that girl that's really, really hot, right? Stunning. Oh my God. I can't even concentrate. She's so hot. And then she opens her mouth and you're like, God damn, you're dumb as hell. You have no manners. You have you're not a ladylike woman. You're from the streets. All of a sudden that beauty that you once saw gets diminished a little bit because you know more of the depth behind this person. It's kind of like that with a lot of these fitness influencers. You see what they're doing, bang, bang, so impressive, bang, 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 sexy car, sexy house, wealth, wealth, wealth. But you don't see the behind the scenes. And the behind the scenes, will probably make it less enticing. This is why I like a lot of people that actually talk about the real stuff, the intricacies about being very, very strong. I know for a fact that I'm not the only one with hip pain. But at the same time, it's like you need to kind of work it out for yourself. You need to work out. You need to learn how to put that fire out yourself. Hopefully it doesn't take you 4 bloody years to work it out. But even then, always, you've worked out this fire, but probably a couple of months down the road, there's gonna be a different fire to put out. And just constantly searching for that weakest link in your body to train. And after years and years and years of training, you keep climbing that ladder, and hopefully you're all intact, and the health department and the performance and department are all happy. But that's kind of what the deal is behind getting stronger. You know, don't get too high, like the Tatachi said. Don't get too, you know, hung up about the success and the pain-freeness. Enjoy it, but be ready. You know, have your shield up. Be ready for the next battle, because that's what the game is about. Appreciate you guys. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.